Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So today we're taking a seriously fascinating journey together. We're moving completely away from those flashy, visible illusions of success that society constantly feeds us, and we're diving deep into the true, invisible mechanics of power. We're talking about mastering the hidden dynamics of wealth, the quiet strength of deep focus, and an ultimate communication hack designed to totally disarm human nature. All right, so I'm going to practice something right out of the gate here. You probably think this is just another one of those generic explainers telling you to skip your morning coffee, wake up at 4 a.m., and hustle harder. And honestly, I don't blame you for thinking that. But today's insights, which we've pulled from brilliant minds like Morgan Housel, Cal Newport, and Chris Voss, aren't about tired cliches. They're about the hidden mechanics of real power. We're uncovering the invisible advantages that literally move the needle in your life. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the trap of fake wealth. Then, surviving the wealth game, the myth of being busy, and the price of comfort. And finally, we'll cap it all off with the ultimate external test, the accusation audit. Section 1. The trap of fake wealth. Silence your ego. You know, society constantly measures success by appearances, but true power actually begins when you recognize what wealth really is. Being rich, well, that's entirely about income. It's visible, it's flashy, it's the luxury car, the expensive jewelry, but wealth is completely different. Wealth is hidden. It's the money you actively choose not to spend. When you see someone drop $50,000 on a new car, sure, they absolutely look richer, but the mathematical reality is they just became $50,000 less wealthy. Real wealth was never designed to impress strangers, guys. Its true purpose is freedom. Let's look at a quick example. Imagine someone earning $100,000 a year. They've got the luxury car, the designer clothes, the pristine lifestyle. Everything looks absolutely perfect from the outside. But here's the catch. They spend $95,000 maintaining that image. Every single dollar is already spoken for by mortgages, loans, and credit cards. If this person loses their job, their entire world shakes and sheer panic sets in within weeks. Now, contrast that with a second person. They earn only $50,000 a year. Their car is a bit older, their home is modest, their lifestyle looks completely ordinary to anyone watching, but they consistently save and invest $20,000 every single year. Quietly, patiently, they're accumulating years of living expenses. They are buying the one thing that first person lacks: time. Time to think, time to recover, and the time to choose their next move. Money's greatest value isn't what it can buy, it's what it allows you to refuse. So I've got a challenge for you today. Open your bank statement and just look at your last 30 days. Find exactly one expense that exists purely to maintain an image or status. Eliminate it. Redirect that money into savings or investments, even if you just start with an automatic 10% transfer. Let's stop building a lifestyle that traps you and start building a future that liberates you. Moving right along to Section 2, Surviving the Wealth Game, the art of staying rich. Building wealth is an entirely different skill set from keeping it. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast in mindsets. Getting rich takes courage, optimism, and taking big risks. You really have to put yourself out there. But the very ego and confidence that helps you acquire money, that can actually destroy your wealth if you don't shift gears. Staying rich is all about survival. It requires humility, patience, and massive self-control. It's a completely different game. As Morgan Housel points out, compounding is incredibly powerful, but it requires time and, most importantly, avoiding catastrophic mistakes. Just think of a confident investor who gets a thrilling 50% return in 1 year. They feel unstoppable, right? They upgrade their lifestyle, and then they lose 80% when the market turns, all because of arrogance. Compare them to the quote-unquote boring investor making a steady 10% over 20 years. The boring investor wins every time. Ultimately, lasting wealth is really just the gap between your income and your ego. All right, Section 3, the myth of being busy, reclaiming your focus. We're moving from financial resources to mental resources here, because the modern world is systematically designed to steal our attention. So who truly owns their time? You see, most people mistake motion for progress. We have the exhausted worker who spends literally all day clearing notifications, replying to emails, jumping between a dozen meetings, and ending the day totally drained, yet no closer to their real goals. Now, contrast that with a master craftsman. Think of a sculptor or a blacksmith. They don't stop every 5 minutes to check an alert. They close the door and they enter a state of intense, uninterrupted focus. We so often use busyness as a form of avoidance from the uncomfortable work that actually matters. Motion feels productive, sure, but it's really just exhaustion. Progress, on the other hand, comes from deep work. One single hour of deep, intensely focused work can accomplish way more than an entire day spent in a state of distracted motion. When you constantly switch tasks, your brain pays a heavy price. Cal Newport calls this attention residue. When you stop working just to check a quick message, a piece of your mind actually stays stuck on that message. It weakens your concentration and makes complex problems so much harder to solve. So here's your next challenge. Pick your most important task. Put your phone in another room and set a timer for 90 minutes of zero distractions. Just see what your mind is truly capable of. Section 4, the price of comfort. Embracing the fire. Let's look at the actual root of that distraction. Just as we avoid hard work with busyness, our brain has an ancient instinct to constantly avoid discomfort. It wants to conserve energy and keep you safe. That was great for ancient survival, but today, it honestly just keeps us stuck. Think about how a sword is forged. A blacksmith doesn't just leave steel sitting in a cool room, right? It's thrust into an intense fire and then struck violently by a hammer over and over again. The heat and pressure don't destroy the steel, they transform it. Doing difficult things transforms a fragile mind into a remarkably strong one. That first urge you get to quit isn't your actual limit. It's literally just your comfort zone begging you to stop. So we're going to build strength with some micro challenges. Take the stairs today instead of the elevator. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Finish that one chapter you've been avoiding. Complete one extra workout set. Remember, growth begins exactly where comfort ends. Every single time you choose discipline over comfort, you are forging that blade. Section 5, the accusation audit power, the ultimate invisible advantage. Conquering our internal ego perfectly prepares us for the hardest external challenge of all, other people's emotions. So, the crucial point is this. When you walk into a difficult conversation, the other person arrives carrying fears, assumptions, and defenses. They might be sitting there thinking, oh, they're being selfish, or they're trying to manipulate me. Most of us try to pretend those thoughts don't exist, but here's the reality. People cannot hear your logic when they are busy protecting themselves. You absolutely have to lower the emotional temperature first. Unspoken emotions never just fade away, they grow dangerously loud. Think about a brilliant defense attorney in a courtroom. They never wait for the opposing side to expose their client's weaknesses. Instead, they stand right up and address the most difficult, terrible facts themselves, right at the start. By putting it out in the open, they completely remove the emotional impact of those facts. And guess what? We can do the exact same thing in our everyday conversations. This is called the accusation audit, and here are the exact steps. First, figure out their worst assumptions about you. Second, calmly say them out loud, right at the very beginning. Say things like, you probably think I totally ignored your concerns, or it may seem like I only care about my own interests here. And third, this is key, do not defend yourself, just let it sit there. What happens next is almost magical. The other person usually responds by correcting you. They'll say, no, it's not that bad. Their tension drops, and they actually start listening because they feel understood. When people feel understood, they stop preparing for a fight. So here's your final challenge for the explainer. Before your very next difficult discussion, whether that's at work or at home, take just 2 minutes to identify their worst assumptions about you. Acknowledge those fears openly at the very start of the chat, and just watch how it completely transforms the entire direction of the conversation. And this brilliantly illustrates our entire journey today. We've seen that the most powerful forces in life are entirely invisible. True power isn't a loud sports car or a frantic, jam-packed schedule. It's the quiet wealth you stubbornly save. It's the invisible strength of the deep focus you relentlessly protect. And it's the disarming empathy you project when you boldly audit someone's fears. It all comes down to silencing the ego to unlock real freedom. So I'm going to leave you with this one vital question. Look at your money, your time, and your relationships. What invisible advantage will you build today?